In this video, we'll look at cumulative frequency. Always read information about the data so that you can fully understand the data on the page. The grouped frequency table shows information from a 2008 survey about the ages of women having their first child. We can see this is the grouped frequency table, that we have 7 women who had their first child between the ages of 16 and 20, 19 women who had their first child between 20 and 25, and so on. We're asked to complete the cumulative frequency. Now, for cumulative frequency, you can think about adding on, cumulative or to accumulate. We start with the first frequency, cumulative frequency, and frequency will be exactly the same. So here, this is 7. We're then going to add on the next frequency, 19. So this is 26. We add on the next frequency, 26 plus 27 is 53. We add on the next frequency, 53 and 27 is 80. Add on the next frequency, 80 and 17 is 97. And finally, we add on the last frequency and we have 100. Now notice, this final cumulative frequency can be a check. It should be the total of all frequencies, and sometimes that number will be given at the description of the data. Now, this table isn't quite right. This table might suggest that 53 women had their first child between 25 and 30. Well, that isn't true. Those 53 women had their first child between the ages of 16 and 30. So we recreate this table where each of our groups begins at the first boundary, 16, and we can fill in the cumulative frequencies here, 26. I'm just copying them over, 53, 80, 97, and 100. So here I have my completed cumulative frequency table. Next, we'll look at plotting that information on a cumulative frequency graph. You'll see here that I have copied the table so that I have the information to hand. Let's take a look at our cumulative frequency graph. I have a title to explain the data on the graph. On the vertical axes, I will always have my cumulative frequency. And on the horizontal axes, I will always have my data. And notice again, both these axes are well labelled. Let's take a look at this scale. It goes up in tens, but I notice that 10 is represented by 5 small squares. 10 divided by 5 gives me 2. So each of my small squares on this scale represents 2 in terms of frequency. So an important question is, where am I going to plot this 7? I'm going to plot 7 at the end of my group. That's because when I reach the age of 20, 7 women have had their first child. When I reach the age of 25, 26 women have had their first child. So let's start plotting this on the graph. So when I reach 20, I need to go up to 7. When I reach 25 years, I need to go up to 26. When I reach 30, I need to go up to 53. When I reach 35, I need to go to 80. When I reach 40, I need to go to 97. And finally, my final point at the age of 45 will be 100. So I've plotted all those points. Now, I could join those points with a straight line drawn with a ruler, but I'm going to be joining them freehand to show you the curve, the type of curve we normally see with a cumulative frequency graph. So we can start here at 0, at the age of 15 here. Well, in fact, we should start from the age of 16, which is here. We have no women having their first child, and as we increase the age, our cumulative frequency increases, and we draw a smooth curve through those points till we reach the final cumulative frequency. Now, this is the classic shape of a cumulative frequency graph. It's a rather elongated S shape. Notice the cumulative frequency graph is constantly rising. If you plot a cumulative frequency graph and discover it goes up and then comes down, you'll know that you've made an error and that you will need to check your cumulative frequencies and where you've plotted those points until you get this classic elongated S shape. That's the end of this tutorial. In other tutorials, we will look at how to read information from our cumulative frequency graph.